Hi, welcome to my channel, Phoenix, #risingfromtheashes. My name is Joey, and this is my vlog about life with anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, and executive dysfunction. Those are the things that I am here to proclaim are wrong with me. But it's not wrong. It's just neurodivergence, right? It's just neurodivergence. That means that my brain just works differently than other people's brain. Neurotypical, for example. I don't know if I believe all that. I'm just quoting what I'm hearing. But I do have depression. I do have anxiety. I have been diagnosed as bipolar before. I can't remember if it's 1 or 2. And executive dysfunction is simply the inability to get shit done. And instead of being caused by something like ADHD, which some adults do have, my executive dysfunction is caused by the fact that anxiety and depression, the bipolar disorder, if you will, has just worn away over the years my ability to function, I guess you could say. I mean, it's weird. Like, 2004 is the year that I became disabled. That was the year I had to stop working and could not work anymore. And that was a long ass fucking time ago. And I'm not saying that at that time I wasn't a mess. I was a mess, believe me. But I was a more functional mess, I guess you could say. Maybe. I could get shit done better. Somewhere in my disability life, if you will, I did lose the ability to drive a couple of times. But I don't really think of that as executive dysfunction. That's more like a phobia, sort of. Like just being afraid to drive, basically. And that was what was attacking me at the time, and pretty much shutting down that ability. Gone. I'm here explaining my life for the internet. Not because I don't have anything better to do. No. I may not work, but I do have a lot of things I have to do. I have an 8-year-old child who has been diagnosed with ADHD and ODD. So I have to stick right on top of her, like, all the time. Try to be, think 3 feet ahead of her. Because she's something. Anyway, I'm sure my parents probably said that about me, like earlier today, but that's beside the point. I have these problems, and I'm doing this vlog because I'm trying to, I don't know if I want to say normalize, but I'm trying to, explain to people in as much detail as I can muster exactly what's going on behind the behavior, if you will, behind why I do certain things the way I do them, or think certain things the way I think them. And I'm trying to show how not only, okay, this is going to totally make not sense, okay, but not only does depression and anxiety almost define every aspect of my life, depression and anxiety at the same time must not define me. Does that make no sense? Clear as mud? Yeah, it's stupid, but that's how I feel. And that's why I do this vlog, because it's a very contradicting sort of situation. Like, on one hand, I'm like, it doesn't define me. I am my own person. I'm woman, hear me roar. And then on the other hand, I'm like, yeah, I'm never going to get out from under the shadow of this fucking shit. Never. I've been under the shadow of it since I was 15. I'm old now. It's not going to stop. But it's not going to define me. So maybe I'm doing this vlog as a way of bringing on something in my life that can define me beyond my anxiety, depression, bipolar, and filthy executive dysfunction that comes with it. I don't know. We'll see. Today I'm going to talk about something that's been going on recently, but I haven't really discussed it because I haven't felt like I knew what to say until about 10 minutes ago, when it occurred to me that I wanted to make this video. So it's something I've been wanting to talk about for a while, but not really something I knew how to talk about until I felt like talking about it, which I do. So here we are talking. My daughter has, as I mentioned, ADHD and ODD, which stands for oppositional defiant disorder. And the last year has been pretty much colored with our struggles in trying to not just come to terms with her diagnosis, but also figure out the best way to sort of like live life and conduct life, keeping in mind these special needs that she has, keeping in mind our own special needs. I have a partner who also has mental health issues. So it's a family affair. And so we've not only been trying to get used to what we have to do for her, but we've been trying to get used to figuring out how to live life, how to conduct life in this way, because it's very important. Certain things are very important, like sticking to a routine. Okay, I suck ass at routines. All right, there's no routine for me. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell. But there's no routine. There's nothing. I don't know how to do it. I can't do anything at the same time every day. I don't know how people do that. Does it make me feel broken? Yeah, a little bit, but what am I going to do? I mean, I've tried. So, what do I have to do? I have to find a way to live with that and still get things done. And still have an organized life. And still maybe eat dinner at home once in a while. We're terrible. We're terrible, honestly. We eat out like all the time. Spend so much money, it's not even funny. But I'm not really talking about that today. I'm talking about the fact that because my daughter has these diagnoses, we have special help. And the special help is in the form of people that are very, very eager to share their experience and expertise, I suppose you could say, and want to help my daughter and our family. She has a therapist, a play therapist that she goes to like about once a week. She's been going to her once a week for, I don't know, probably 9 months, I think. No, not quite 9 months. Definitely 7. Been a while. I know it was winter because that damn snow was on the ground, but again, beside the point. So, she goes to play therapy, but there has been an introduction of a new kind of therapy that it's deemed that she needs. Mind you, my daughter's on Medicaid. as am I. And we don't make it much of a secret that we have mental health issues. We don't go out of our way to tell people that, but we don't make it a secret either. When the subject comes up, I'm usually pretty transparent about it because, well, first of all, because I do this as a hobby. I talk to the camera and post it on the damn internet about how I feel about all the shit that goes on in my life. And so, because I do that, I try to have that honesty in my real life and say, yeah, we struggle with mental illness. We're on disability. We don't work. Blah, blah, blah. So, the newest thing that they have deemed our daughter needs is a worker. I think they call her a PSR worker. I don't know what PSR stands for. But basically at the end of the day, she's like a social worker for, maybe the state even? I don't know. She accepts the same insurance that her play therapist accepts. And that insurance is under a plan that is known as being on Medicaid. So we have this new PSR worker that is working with our daughter. Now, that would be fine. It would be fine if the PSR worker didn't have to come to our house. My partner and I are not happy about this particular thing, I must say. Feels good to say that. We don't like people in our house, honestly. Our house is dirty, like most of the time. It's disorganized and cluttery. And the floor probably needs sweeping. But, I mean, it's not as dirty as a house can be, certainly. But, unless you count our room. But it is something that my mother would be ashamed of. Ergo, I have to be ashamed of it too. So I'm very shameful of my house. Don't really like people over at the house. Even if the house was spotless and clean, like even when it was spotless and clean, like when my daughter was a baby and we could keep it that way, it was still like, do we have to have people at the house? Because it just makes me feel uncomfortable. And I'm not blaming that on mental illness, although probably has something to do with it, I should imagine. I don't know. I would just prefer to keep the house just to ourselves. But we have to have this lady come. And she stays for like an hour or two. And it's very, what's the word? Joey, what's the word? Don't just stand there and say nothing. Oh my gosh. I don't want to say invasive. Like, that seems like a big word to use. But it is a little invasive. It's a little like, I have to have this stranger here at my house. And I'm not going to resent that because she's here to help my daughter. And I want my daughter to get all the help she can get. So I'm okay with it. My partner feels the same way. As long as she's here to help our daughter, we're okay with it. But it is a little bit nerve-wracking. It's a little nerve-wracking. I'm not going to lie. Just straight off the point, I am completely paranoid about having my daughter taken away from me. I am a disabled, mentally ill woman who is not particularly young in age. I also know my capabilities, and I know how very, very small they are. I don't like the idea of somebody who's like basically Child Protective Services being in my house. That's how I feel about it. Maybe it's not exactly that. If there's anyone out there that can enlighten me on what PSR workers are, like what their purpose is or whatever, and are they state workers? I don't know. If anyone knows that, like, drop a comment. But I don't feel comfortable with it. At the same time, I've seen how helpful the play therapy has been for my daughter. She's a different person than she was at the beginning of her last school year. We're at the beginning of the new school year, at the beginning of last school year. Man, I mean, like, I remember driving away from that school and like listening to her howl, scream, with the windows up in my car as I'm driving away. And they're like dragging her into the building because this is how she is. Because she was so upset about having to go to school. To now, she's on medication. I know. Whoop. I know some people think medicating children is wrong. And I laugh about that because I'm not saying it's right in all situations, but in our situation, I don't think there's any way around it. And it's certainly better with it. Between the medication and the play therapy, her personality, her whole demeanor, her whole everything has just made a complete switch. And she's so different now. We still get, little rumblings of the demon underneath. But she keeps it at bay now. She keeps it at bay. Of course, I mean, she still scratches me and hits me all the time. But we're getting better with that. We're getting better. At any rate, where was I? So we have this lady coming to our house. And she's had a couple of sessions with her at the house. And I can see how it would be a helpful thing to have her around. On one hand, I must say I'm very grateful to have the help, the extra help that the insurance is covering this thing, which I sort of low-key suspect is in the guise of something else, but I don't know. I'm like really paranoid, seriously. But anyway, I'm glad that she's helping us. And I'm grateful for the help. Because of those two things, I am suppressing my natural sort of instinct to, batten down the hatches, so to speak, and not let anybody in the house. Not because I have anything to hide, but because that's the one damn people in my fucking house. That's all. So, I'm just a hermit in that way, I guess. It's interesting, and the reason I'm talking about this is because it's interesting to me the things that I am willing to sacrifice for that child. And having a lady come to my house and like literally lecture me for 45 minutes about the whys and hows of parenting and having a good relationship, And she's like talking to us about all these things. And I mean, of course, it's all stuff that we've honestly talked about ourselves to death as well. So, but to hear it from somebody else, it was very like sort of eye-opening. And on one hand, I appreciated it until my partner and I had a big, huge fight over it. The reason we had a fight was because that lady's lecture kind of brought to light all of the things, like highlighted all of the things that we need to work on, the things that I need to work on. And when I went and made those mistakes that she was talking to us about not making, after she had already talked to us about it, my partner kind of like lost it with me, got really upset. And I don't blame her, because like a lot of the problems, I don't want to say they're my fault, because I'm really trying hard, but a lot of them are my fault in a way. We don't always agree on how much toughness we should show the child. We don't always agree on that. I'm way, 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 way more lenient with her than my partner is. So my partner always has to be the one who's like the disciplinarian, who's the bad guy, basically. And there's only so much one can take of that. And she's tired of it. Tired of being the bad guy. Tired of being the one that has to enforce everything. And I'm always the one who's like trying to bargain for her to get more screen time or another Oreo cookie or something. I'm terrible. Fucking A, man. This phone keeps on. I'm a terrible enabler. Terrible is bad. And I know exactly where I get it. I get it from my mother. But anyway. So we've got this lady come into the house. And she's given us lectures about how we can do things better. And even though the lecture was very enlightening, we still got into a big fight over it. Everything's calmed down now, and we're working with new promises and new determination on my part. But it's still an uphill battle. This lady is good to work with as far as our daughter is concerned. She is going to help with routines. She's going to help with trying to get her into doing things like brushing her hair, brushing her teeth, taking baths regularly, that sort of thing is another thing that they're going to work on. I don't know. There's lots of other things that she had planned to work on with her. It can be very helpful, but it can also be very hard to be okay with things out of the comfort zone, so to speak, even when it comes to getting help that you really need. It can still be hard. It's hard because of my neurodivergence. Whether that was something I was born with, like ADHD, or if it's something that it developed into because of my depression and anxiety, and chronically for years and years and decades and years and months and days and hours and minutes. But I don't know. It could be that, it could not be. At any rate, I'm starting to not make sense. So I'm going to talk for 24 minutes. Wow. I'm going to talk for 2 minutes more, and then I'm going to get off this darn thing. I didn't mean to make such a long video. Thank you for watching. If you've watched all this, I appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and click the bell so you know when I post another video. Come back and see me next time. Thank you. Again, seriously.